Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the YouTube channel grecochess, the channel of the game of chess, where we talk about all aspects of the game of chess. In this video, I'm going to show to you what happened at the third round of the 86th chessanity tournament that took place last Sunday at Syosset, New York. This is a little town in the west half of Long Island. I had started with 2 losses. Before the tournament, by the way, my rating unofficially had jumped from 1631 to 1680. I was just 3 points short of my personal best, 1683, many, many years ago. And I was so excited if I did well, I could make a new record. But after the losses in my first 2 rounds, I entered the third round not happy at all. I knew that no matter what, I was going to lose points, and I was just hoping to minimize damage. Let's see what would happen. But before we begin with the game, let's show the details of the tournament. You're seeing that the date was February 1st, 2026. The location is Syosset, New York. And there were various rounds. I was eligible only for the very top, under 2000, because the next one was under 1200. And for the under 2000, look at the arrow. There were 3 rounds with time control 45-5, meaning when game started, players had 45 minutes on their clocks, and when it was your time to move, for the first 5 seconds, the clock would not move. And then it would continue going downwards from where it stopped before, and the players needed to complete all moves before the clock went down to 0. A few words about the delay. It's done so that when players have very little time, they have enough time to make a move. And they don't lose just because you are too slow to make the move. But let's see now who was my opponent in round number 3. His name is Sergey Kogan, and as you see here, his rating officially was 1235. But don't forget, I lost from a 588 player in the second round. And if you see here in the tournaments, of course, this is the latest one, but the previous tournament he had played was the 51st Sanity tournament, just like Timothy, my previous opponent, 3 years. So the rating doesn't mean too much. Sergey may have improved and may have become equivalent of Grandmaster, who knows what. Compare the 1235 with my score, 1631. I was about 400 points more, making me the favorite. But after my disaster with the 588 player with Timothy, I couldn't take anything for granted. But let's see what happened in the actual game. Let's go to the analysis board of chess.com. And what I'm going to do is, this is a score sheet. I'm going to enter moves one by one from the beginning until the end. And after every move, the computer is going to make an evaluation with positive number, meaning white is doing better, negative black is doing better. 1.0 differential means that you excel by 1 point. The units are the centipoints, 0.01 of the pawn. And the computer will say which move would have been the best, the 5 best moves for the other player whose turn is to come. And also it's going to make a comment if the move was anything from brilliant with 2 exclamation points until blunder to question marks. But let's start. I had the white pieces and Sergey had the black. And the beginning, it is the opening I like. It is the Scotch Gambit. That is a one that it's a decent one, meaning if the opponent is well prepared, you can go to the game with equal chances. But there are many, many little traps. If the opponent doesn't know them, you may win before you know what's happening, before your opponent realizes what's happening. Let's see what happened here. This is with 2 knights. This is a Scotch. The black has just one choice to take the pawn. Otherwise, if you do anything like pawn to d6 or things like that, they'll have a disadvantage. Can easily exchange queens, for example, and deprive them of the right to castle. And now usually in the Scotch, you take the pawn, and this is the number 1 move that the computer recommends. This is a regular Scotch game. Garry Kasparov like to play it, but I'm going for the gambit, bishop to c4. How does the Sergey reply? The best move according to the computer is knight f6, but he played the second best, bishop to c5. How to continue? Now, there are many ways. For example, knight to g5 is a very common, and after exchanging here, queen checks from h5 and takes back the bishop. But I decided to do something a little trickier, and the top move of the computer, pawn to c3, attacking the d4 pawn. And Sergey takes a pawn. He is not supposed. Look at the 5 moves. The best is knight to f6. Other ones are bishop to b6. Pawn to d3 maybe. Pawn to d6. Queen to f6. But Sergey decides to take the pawn. And materially, as you see here, is ahead by 2 pawns. But you see that the +2, but computer thinks a mistake and gives me an advantage of plus 0.87. We completed the first 5 moves until this move. We were talking about book, but now Sergey makes a mistake. I'm ahead by 0.87, but this means very little. But now I'm not taking back the pawn either with my pawn or the knight. I have a little surprise for him. Bishop takes check on f7. Which the computer thinks is brilliant. Why the top move, but on the short term, you sacrifice a bishop. It's not enough. I'm down by 2 pawns. Now I take one of them back and I'm down by a complete bishop. Sergey takes it. What else can he do? He's only 3 legal moves, and this is the best out of the 3. Look at the differential, +4. Sergey has 1 bishop and 1 pawn more than me. But I'm not going to take the pawn back. Another little surprise, queen goes to d5 with a check. What can Sergey do? He plays the best possible move. King goes to e8. You see here, out of all the moves, one of them, the worst one, leads to mate next move. The other one leads to mate in 3 moves. He plays the one that doesn't lead to mate. And now I win the bishop. So the differential, instead of being down by 4, I'm down by 1. And this becomes 2. He doubles his material advantage by taking my pawn on b2, and is threatening to promote by winning either not only just promote, have a queen, but to win either my rook or my bishop. If I did nothing, he would take my rook and have a queen, then an extra rook, plus the +2 he had before. His life would be great. But it's my turn, so I do the best move. You see here, there's only one move that keeps me the advantage. The bishop takes at b2. Every other move is a disaster for me. I take it. And Sergey decides to threaten my queen by sending the pawn to d6. I have to do something. My queen is under threat. Sergey, in spite of me taking back the pawn, and he's still up by +1. He still has a material advantage. What am I supposed to do? Inaccuracy, however, thinks is a move the computer gives me an advantage of 169. My queen goes to h5 for a check, and this is the best move here. What can Sergey do? His best choice would be to send the pawn to g6. His second best is a king to f8. No idea. I mean, if he sent the pawn to g6, I have an advantage of 169, as you see here. Not a bad one, but not decisive. Instead, he sends his king to f8. Time for me to strengthen inaccuracies of the computer, and after 10 moves, I have an advantage of 2.32. This does not yet decide the game, but if in 10 moves you have advantage of 232, that says quite a lot. I decided to bring my knight to f6, from f3 to g5. I'm attacking the pawn on h7. I'm attacking mate on f7. Great moves as a computer, gives me advantage of 2.25. So Sergey definitely needs to find a way to stop the mate at f7 before he does anything else. How many moves can do it? The queen can go d7, a7. If the king moves and goes, for example, to e7, it's mate again on f7. So he has to put his queen on one of the squares. He can put his knight on h6 and cover the square. What else can he do? The computer thinks the best move is put the knight to h6. queen to e7 is the second, the third to d7. What is the next move? Knight can also go to e5. No, queen to e8. He has these five moves to spare him from mate, but what he does instead is he wants to develop his knight towards the center, sends it to f6. And when he saw it, I couldn't believe my eyes. I double checked a few times because I had mate in one move. And queen goes to f7, and it's mate. And in 12 moves, the game was over. I had won the third game, and by doing so, at least I minimized damage. My rating went down from 1680 to 1620. Still a few more good tournaments, I may be able to make a new record. Let's look at the review now. What does the computer think? Although I have to tell you, don't trust it too much. 97.7 accuracy for me, of course, was a very brief game. I knew the opening, I knew the theory, and I caught my opponent unprepared. That's the whole thing that happened. 66.7 for Sergey. I played as if my rating was 2,500. I doubt I've ever had such a thing before, very rarely. As if I'm a grandmaster. Thanks for the flattering. Just.com, but I don't need this flattering. And 1550, it was Sergei's rating. I had one brilliant move when a bishop took the pawn at f7, but it's not so brilliant if you've seen the videos and you know what you're supposed to do. Great, two great moves for me. Book 5 for me, 4 for Sergey. Best 3 for me, 1 for Sergey. Excellent one, Sergey. One good for Sergey. Inaccuracies, 2 Sergey, 1 for me, and 2 mistakes for Sergey. And what does this mean? I need to explain because too many people that watch chess and don't play too much may think that how did this happen? But I need to tell you, in chess, a lot of things can happen. There are many traps in the opening if the opponent is not prepared, doesn't know them, and follows general principles. Because Sergei just played what you're supposed to do in the opening, the general ideas of opening. But he just happened to fall on the traps of the chess cabinet. This is a happen. It doesn't mean anything wrong for Sergei. Personally, I wish him all the best, and I have in high esteem a player that comes and loses games, even though they may make big mistakes, than someone that doesn't even participate. Uh, I have lost games like that, a little bit less now that I know more about chess, much more in the past. I got lucky. I need to tell you, I was lucky. They say that chess is a game of skill. Yeah, but there is luck. That's all I can say. I got lucky this game. It pays to know openings up to a point, meaning the tiny details of various opening lines may not be much, but at least to know the opening traps is necessary. There's another opening trap called the legal mate, where here you sacrifice not just a bishop, an entire queen. And in fact, a queen for nothing. And before you know it, the player that sacrificed the queen in a couple of moves is checkmating using bishops and knights. That's it about chessanity. I ended up with 1 point out of 3. Not well at all, in spite of the last win. I'm not happy at all with my performance. And what is next? Let's look now at the tournaments I've been following, the online tournaments. And let's go to the tournament directory to see what's happening with grecochess, the tournament that I organized. By the way, it's the first tournament I ever organized, and we're just one game away from the end. Once it's over, we'll cover it completely. You see here, Barak 7 has 5 points versus 4 for Maxim Govorucha, but Maxim Govorucha has the white pieces in the last game, and if Maxim Govorucha can win, they tie, they equalize. If Barak 7 gets at least a draw, he's a champion. Let's see the other one. The Underwater Moonlight. That I am out, that's why you'll see it way at the bottom of my list. Here we are, Underwater Moonlight and 9 moons tournament. This is from the first round where I was eliminated. I got the sixth place in my group while only the top three uh, qualified. There are 28 players, four groups of seven. In group one, it is where uh, Zanilor, who is my subscriber from Italy, and he is organizing this tournament. He has only completed three of the game. His games one win, two losses, and his games are the one basically that are keeping the tournament going on. So this is the case group number one. You see Maxim Kovaroka with 9 points. I think is guaranteed advancing. AMMT with 8 and Khaled Katab with 6 are following, but Zanilor has a lot of games in front of him. And perhaps Oli Kimbo might have a chance. Group 2 it's over. One game remains, but nothing changes. Mebius 11.5, PG 74 with 10, and Matthew B 2008 with 7 points have already advanced. Group 3, no game remains. Chinan Fu, Iraq Lion, and Steam Rocket have advanced. And Group 4, still it's over with although one game remains, Viviladivia 5 and Lysithia Vantres and Vinke Kar Vanansk have already advanced. Of course, if Vidnan Karvanans loses the last game, he ties with 6 points with Spider 99, but look at the tie-break points. Vinke Vanansk has already advanced. We'll cover the last game when it's over, one with the other. What else remains? We'll continue fighting against the bots, and now it's a time for the 1600 bot. But let's see which bot is named 1600. Let's share the screen once again. Let's make sure we have the correct window. Here we are. Let's give a look at the play bots where we are. We are already in the advanced bots. We completed the first three that have 1500 ratings, and now it's time for the 1600. Pablo I think he's from Colombia. Three bots of 1600 will be the next ones we are going to face. Let's see what we can do, because now they are approaching my actual rating. So assuming nothing extraordinary happens, the next tournament is Pablo. Something else, another exciting tournament. In a couple of weeks, I'm participating at the USATE tournament, United States Amateur Team East, representing a team from the Queen's Chess Club. That will take place in Parsippany, New Jersey. I'll be very excited to cover it. But that's all for now, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. Thanks to the subscribers. You may consider subscribing if you have not done so. To the viewers, to the likes, the comments. This is grecochess. I'm Harry Lasaniziris. Goodbye.